Hello, YouTube land. It's me again, Simon Miller, doing another vlog. Vlog number 2, mostly because after I did the first one, food in my mouth. When I did the first one, everyone said they really liked it and they wanted to do more. So I said, well, why don't you let me know what you want me to vlog about? We used the power of the internet for good, and I got a load of requests back. Amazingly, maybe not so given everything. Firstly, look, I'm wearing green on green. I mean, I'm not going to use the green screen. This is just where I do everything, so just what it works. But it's going to look weird, isn't it? It's going to look a bit like I'm camouflage, like I'm a chameleon, and maybe one point I'm just going to vanish. That's why I wore the hat. Not true. But yeah, a lot of people, one of the things people asked for, they said, can you tell us how to be positive? And I thought it was a very interesting question. So I thought, maybe if it's an interesting question, it will be interesting to talk about. So I thought we'll do that. I mean, if you watch any of my videos, it depends kind of where you go, right? If you watch my stuff on What Culture, I am deliberately very positive, and I don't like the term upbeat, because I think, upbeat isn't a choice. You either are upbeat person or you're not. But I do. I mean, in that sense, the way I view the world of professional wrestling is, it has to be important, and we should take it seriously, and there's always a time for debate and everything like that. At the same time, though, if we take a step back, it is just professional wrestling. If professional wrestling disappeared tomorrow, we'd all be a bit upset, but the world will continue, to move on. If you get some kind of horrendous disease, you're not going to care that Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble 2 years ago. And if you do, and that's what helps you, then that's great. But my point being that it's not the be-all and end-all. And that is why I've always taken a very positive approach to it. There'll be some things I get negative about, of course, because I'm still critiquing it, and I'm still watching it as a reviewer, or whatever you want to call it. But I like to keep it in the context, and more often than not, I think it's good to be positive, even when you're talking about the negative stuff. Now, that does bleed into everything else. I mean, if you watch the stuff on the channel you're watching now, the Miller Report channel, a lot of it, it's not negative in the sense that it's not coming from a bad place. The humour and whatever is coming from a good place. However, it is snarky, it's a bit trolly, and you could argue that that's negative. I don't see it as negative, because to me, especially when you're trying to troll people, you're basically taking things that maybe some individuals shouldn't get so wound up about, and you kind of give them a funny joss to the stomach. Now, they don't understand that because they get really mad, but that's the point of it. It's kind of the South Park rule when it comes to comedy or humor or life. Either everything's funny or nothing's funny. And I've always bought into that. And that doesn't then shift into taste. Taste is different. You can try and be funny and get it wrong. That's absolutely a thing too. But you should really be able to take the mick out of everything as long as the joke is coming from a good place. So we talked about, having a terrible disease. If you make a joke about the terrible disease and the joke is on that disease and someone's suffering, that's not funny. But if you use that disease and then come up with something around it, then maybe you can pull some humor out of it. Getting off track here. My point being, going back to the wrestling stuff, is positivity really is... Well, if you don't feel like you're a positive person and you sat there and you're thinking, I want to be more positive, when it first starts, you kind of just have to fake it. It's like confidence, right? If you're not a confident person, you don't flick a switch and all of a sudden go, oh, there's my confidence, there's my self-esteem. You have to fake it at first. It sounds ridiculous in many ways, but it's almost like you have to, perception is reality, right? It's almost like you have to put yourself in a position where other people look at you. I'm not saying you should get your worth from other people, but when you start presenting yourself as that person, all of a sudden that starts to come back onto you. And in time, you will start to feel more positive. You will start to feel more confident. Your self-esteem will go up because you've put yourself in that position. It's like the people that say a positive mindset will result in positive rewards. That's true because you're approaching everything positively. So therefore, whatever reward you get, all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, I'm really positive about this because you went into it positively. That's the same with the negative thing, right? I'm trying to think of an example now, but this is a terrible analogy. If you win the lottery, but you played the lottery negative and you won a big sum of money, maybe you think, oh, this is just going to make my life more difficult. I've got to worry about this and people are going to come out of the woodwork. I don't know. That's a terrible analogy. That doesn't work at all. My point being is, I don't think that one day you're just going to wake up and be positive. I mean, you can use moments in your life to try and trigger that or use it as a catalyst. So something good happens to you, maybe you can latch onto that and go, this is great, I'm going to use this to change everything. But I really do think it's a state of mind, and a state of mind begins with you and making that choice to say, today I'm going to be more positive about things. Then in time you'll fall into a routine. Like, if you went back and watched the first vlog I did, which was about anxiety, we talked about routine there as well, and how a lot of people that fall into the anxiety trap, for lack of a better term, is because it does become their routine. And routine is everything. If you have a good routine, you're going to feel good. And if you have a bad routine, you're going to feel bad. I mean, my whole life is based around routine with the gym and everything else. But yeah, so you almost, like I say, you just have to start being positive. And that's really hard to do, don't get me wrong, because if you're struggling or there's negative things in your life that you can't, you're not finding the right way to deal with it, then yeah, waking up and go, oh, I'm going to pretend to be really positive today is nonsense. But a lot of people do it. Take social media, for example. I mean, a lot of people are honest on there and they show their true selves, for lack of a better term. But ultimately, it's about showing the good picture of your holiday or the amazing time you're having with your partner or the best thing you did with your friend. It's rare. I mean, there are some stuff, but it's rare you see, I went on holiday with my boyfriend, my girlfriend. Look at the shit time we had. So, I mean, that does happen. But most of it is used to create, look how awesome my life is. There's a balance to that. You can go too far when you're actually trying to cover things up and you're not addressing things with it inside yourself. However, if you take that kind of idea and run with it in your day-to-day life, like I say, eventually you build up this pattern, you build up this routine, you build up these feelings, and hopefully before long you think, oh man, I'm actually now approaching things in a positive way, and therefore it's helping me with my work, it's helping me with my relationship, it's helping me with whatever. And on that point, again, I come across like a positive individual, but I've done stupid stuff in the past. I do stupid stuff all the time where my emotions get the better of me or my feelings get the better of me. And then when you come out the other side and you have that reflective period, you look back in hindsight, you're like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? Where did that come from? And that we're humans, right? It's not an excuse. It's certainly not an excuse. And I think sometimes, myself included, we all need to get a better grip of our emotions and not let our past experiences affect us too much. But it does happen, and all we can really do positively is try and learn from those experiences, right? Because we all make mistakes, we all fail. If you saw the last Star Wars movie, Last Jedi, little spoiler coming up here, so if you haven't seen it yet, I think it's been long enough, been a month, just go away for a second. But Yoda turns up, and what does Yoda tell Luke Skywalker? What does the green puppet tell the fake man? He tells the fake man, listen, all these good stuff you have are great, but the most important teachings are failure. I can't remember, he doesn't use the word failure, I can't remember the other words he uses, but his point is, as a master Jedi, the best thing you can teach to your students is where you screwed up and how that made you stronger or how you recovered from that, so then they can do the same thing. And this is something you see on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter all the time about these really successful people saying that failure is the most important thing in the world. And it's true, but you've got to make sure you learn from it. And that's where positivity comes in. Because sometimes you won't learn from it, and sometimes you'll make the same mistake again, and then you'll be like, what did I do that for? Slap my head for the What Culture fans. Why? But yeah, that is, again, it's all got to be a learning process and it's all got to be a learning experience. And again, it kind of ties into what we said before. Try not to beat yourself up. And don't get me wrong, I do it. I do things, and then, like I say, you come away and you think, what? You stupid boy. And sometimes there's consequences to that, and sometimes those consequences suck. But you just have to, look, there's nothing wrong with being a bit melancholy. There's nothing wrong with being a bit negative. They're all sad. They're all emotions that we have, and they're all emotions we should embrace because we shouldn't fight those emotions. But we also need to make sure that they don't kind of get a hold of us and overtake everything. And that's really easy to do because that's what negativity, misery loves company, right? That's the saying. And that is a very, 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 very true statement. And that's when those moments happen, maybe you do have to reach out for a friend. Maybe you want to call someone. There's plenty of services out there. You just need to do something to try and then go back into the whole perception is reality thing. And that can start with anything. That can start by doing some videos on YouTube about wrestling and just saying, hey, isn't wrestling great? Don't we all love wrestling? And then you take that idea and you think, oh, maybe I'll apply it to this, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if any of that helped. Probably not. But I think my big thing with a lot of these things is that never fall into the idea that just because you're not doing okay means that everybody else is doing okay. Even the people that look like they're doing wonderfully have their struggles too. Because of course we do. We're human beings. We all have emotions. We're all idiots deep down. You just have to hope that you can learn from everything that you do and that you don't screw up too bad and that things can kind of balance themselves out. I learn it. Hopefully you learn it. I got a load of mates that learn it. So yeah. That's my opinion on positivity. I do want to try and get these going once a week. On a regular day would be nice. At the moment, they're just popping up randomly, so we will get into that. As always, what I would ask you to do is, using the comments below, let me know what else, this kind of stuff you'd like me to talk about, because like I said, it's brand new to me, just talking into a camera about life. But a lot of people like the last one. I got a lot of positive feedback, and look, because it was positive, it made me do another one. So there's my whole theory summed up. But yeah, just let me know. It doesn't have to be like these big existential stuff. It can be whatever you want. Someone said, Miller, tell us that you should do a day in the life of Miller, and I thought, well, that's 2 minutes. Get up and work out. Do a load of work, then I go work out again. I go bed. It's like it's stuff I can do. You let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, do all the fancy YouTube stuff. And yeah, let's keep doing these. You know, throughout the rest of the week, there'll still be nonsense on this channel, of course. But if we can inject a little bit of realism, it's not a word, realism into the mix as well. Balance is key, right? Balance is key. Everything in moderation. Me saying that makes me a massive hypocrite. I do nothing in moderation. I throw myself into everything. And sometimes it ends badly. But anyway, not badly, I just make mistakes because I'm a bit too headstrong. But hey, look, I learn. I'm learning. I'm still learning, and we all still learning. That's the other thing. That's how I'm going to end this. Doesn't matter how old you are, never think you know everything because we're always still learning.